Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Monaco.
And I'm Bobby Salvesen. We are the Hazmat Guys, bringing you knowledge and insight to make your job a little bit easier and safer.
Let's take a minute to hear about today's sponsors.
Hey guys, time to level up. New and exciting detection technologies are available, and All Safe Industries can help you navigate the details to make the best choice for your hazmat team. All Safe Industries, where your job is a safer you. Call or click today. Hey guys, Bobby from the Hazmat Guys here, and have you noticed that threats have evolved but decon hasn't? Well, that's until now. Hybrid decon is the latest evolution of decon tools and techniques. The concept of hybrid decon has been getting a lot of attention in the hazmat community, but what exactly is hybrid decon? Well, First Line Technology, which are the developers of Dahlgren Decon and FiberTech wipes, have produced a downloadable 24-page brochure that explains the concept of hybrid decon and why it is a major improvement over either wet decon or dry decon alone. This brochure answers all the questions you might have about how to simplify your hazmat response. You'll learn why using Dahlgren Decon and FiberTech wipes together will reduce the time it takes to set up, mix, apply, and clean up after or during an incident. You can download this free copy of What is Hybrid Decon brochure at www.firstlinetech.com or simply click on the ad below on our website.
Let's get to the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Hazmat Guys. I'm Bobby Salvesen. I'm here with Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hello, everybody.
What is not happening? We have the country in upheaval, and we have the last vestige.
Volcanoes.
Yeah, no.
There's been earthquakes.
There's
been pandemic. There's been
Check.
riots.
Check.
A volcano eruption is the only thing really that's left. And a typhoon, a tsunami.
I have worse.
Do you have worse?
I have worse. I have the only conference that was going to happen. Cold Zone has just postponed.
No.
Cue sad noise. Yes. No bueno.
But I think they're supposed to be moving it. Yeah, we will rebuild. It's funny because I couldn't get a flight back.
Well, you could just stay there, right?
No, I seriously couldn't get a flight back. The only flight back was 22 and a half hours long.
Oh, that's like the Iditarod race. You could have gone with.
It was absolutely insane. And I had emailed him and I never heard back. And I guess he was just in the process of canceling everything. Probably for that reason, because I can't imagine I would be the only one that couldn't get a flight.
Yeah. Well, we have a great topic here, and it's very topical and timely as far as what's going on right now around the world and the country. But before we get into that, I'm teaching a class, and somebody dropped something in my ear, and I want to talk to you about that.
Was it a cockroach? I hate it when that
It
happens.
was not a cockroach. Or that thing was in Star Trek with the Khan. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, thing? A little squiggly. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy said that I'm currently in Richmond, California, lovely downtown Richmond, California, epicenter of all the protests. And 200 miles to my north is a town called Shasta, where there is a mine called Iron Mountain Mine, which is actually Richmond Mine. And he said, and I'm going to quote this, they have a water supply there that has a pH of minus 3.6.
You mean they have a pH dash of 3.6?
No, minus, off the logarithmic scale.
Is this legit? Or are you just screwing with me?
No, he said it, and I said, all right, I know theoretically you can get to places outside, but 3.6 is way, because remember, it's logarithmic, so it's going exponentially outside
billions
of the norm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way. So I did a quick investigation. We've talked about titration.
Yes.
So I'm going to quickly review it because maybe you haven't heard it. So I just kind of want to review it. pH is the negative logarithm for the concentration of hydronium ions in solution, right? It's the ability, it's how much hydronium is in solution.
Right.
We kind of know that, right? Concentration is the acid relative to water, 98% to 2%, etc. But the strength, this is kind of a key point. The strength is how much of the acid will ionize. So, like, for example, if you throw 100 molecules of hydrochloric acid, which is a strong acid, into water, then all, or really close to it, will actually dissociate. That is a strong acid. All of it breaks apart. But if I throw like acetic acid or vinegar into water, maybe like 30 of the 100 will break apart.
Right.
Right? So that's weak, one strong. So I'm going to preface this. This is nerd alert. Okay, so for anybody that's not in the nerd alert place, and you don't have a propeller on your hat, just phase out here. We'll give you the topic is cheese. Go talk to somebody else, right? So for us to get below 0 in pH, let's use hydrochloric acid. It's a strong acid, right? It likes to completely dissociate. So I start throwing hydrochloric acid in water, and I'm going to be getting, let's say, a 0.1 molar solution, right? Now, molar is a measurement of concentration. It's very scientific. It goes down to the atomic level, but just understand it's what they call 0.1 molar, right? So for my concentration, I have a negative log, 0.1 molar, which is the equivalent of pH of 1. Okay. So continuing down this, if I have 0.01, I would have a pH of 2. If I have 0.001, I have a pH of 3. 3 zeros, I'd have a pH of 4, and we keep going on. That's how it actually works. So for me to get so for this thing, the pH of the solution is 1 molar. That would give me a pH of 0.
Right, which would insinuate that at 1 molar, everything disassociated and everything.
100%.
100%.
Right? So now, let's say we jack up the temperature from a normal 25 Celsius to, let's say, 90 Celsius, 70 Celsius. Solubility goes up.
So you're actually holding more than what you are at room temperature.
You're hyper dissolving this. So you're able to dissolve more hydrochloric acid into the water, which means your molarity goes above 1, which means you can drop below 0 in your pH.
Wow.
And this water in this mine is the most negative pH'd in the world. This is like, I really wanted to drive, but it's 200 and something miles away, and I was like, yeah, it's not that important.
So I wonder, like, if we took our standard litmus test paper and we dipped it in there, do you think it would turn red, or do you think there wouldn't be a reaction? Because I wonder what...
I would guess, and I'm totally hypothesizing this, I would say it would go red, but it would quickly go bleached out. And I'm using hydrochloric acid because I don't know if it's sulfuric acid, phosphoric acid. It
could be a bleaching agent.
It could be an oxidizing agent. I don't know what the acid is in this mine. However, I would render it would probably ruin whatever type of reagent is embedded in that pad to get it to go. That's totally a hypothesis.
So, talking about what we talked about before, you could have that extremely low pH. You could have lots and lots of free disassociation.
Yeah.
But they are incapable of ionizing anything and therefore pose almost no threat.
Right. Right. So if you have, let's say, acetic acid and I hyper dissolve it, like I said, in a hot solution, I might never go below 0. However, if it was it was able to completely dissociate, I very well may can. And I also, based on my research, you can also do this on the basic scale, but just not to the extent of that.
Right, right.
There is a theoretical maximum.
Well, because there's a chemical that has 2 H's, that has 2 hydrogens in it, and if you get to the point where you can dissolve both of those H's, you can go well above that 1 molar solution.
Is it H2O?
No. It's like, oh man, if I had known about this, I could have been prepped. And it's on my head. It's not battery acid. I don't know. There's acids out there that have
Well, H2SO4 is sulfuric, right?
maybe it's sulfuric. Maybe if you're able to disassociate both of those, you can go above the 1 molar. I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah. So just interesting stuff for you guys out there. When somebody says, "Hey, we have a negative pH," and you go, "No, you can't have that." Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You can do that. I completely forgot about it until this guy said it, and I did a little investigation. It was pretty interesting stuff. So
That's cool. I never even heard of it.
yeah.
Doon
So
doon doon.
now you know.
Now you know.
Go, Joe. All right. Anyway, tell us about tear gas, Mike.
Yeah, so we figured we're talking, we're seeing everything that's going on. It's happening in our city as well, and we were kind of like, wow, I wonder how we would respond to tear gas, right? Because you have patients, you have people, you have things going off. Like maybe this is happening a lot. Maybe this is something we should kind of learn about. So we figured we'd put a little back and forth together on good old tear gas, and it gets its origins from World War One. It was actually the first chemical agent to be used in warfare, at least modern warfare, and it was developed by the French, of all people, at the turn of the 20th century.
Yeah. So the U.S. wasn't really looking to be outshined. Like we had, what was it? Chloroacetylphenone.
Yes. I think
that's what it was. It was something like that. It seems like that word just goes on forever, but it wasn't. We didn't have that. It didn't get created until like years after this.
Yeah, and while we had it, because we didn't really do too much with it in World War One, we kind of stayed out of that. Till closer to the end,
right?
We ended up having stockpiles of this stuff, and because we had the stockpiles of the stuff, and because a lot of people from the military ended up becoming police officers and joining the police forces, they started requesting the stockpiles because at the time there was tons and tons of civil unrest.
Right, and these were. It wasn't all well and good, right? To use this around that time, between Union-style strikes and demonstrations, these riots that were occurring around the United States and elsewhere began to totally engulf major cities. It sounds eerily parallel to what's going on right now.
It does, right? We kind of think we're in, like, you watch the news and it's like, we're in unique times. And it's like, no, actually, they did this in the 20s, they did this in the 40s, they did this in the 60s, they did this in the 90s.
You know what? Just to hit the pause button for 1 second on this. There is a podcast I just got into, and I don't ever promote other podcasts, but you just said something that is really good because this guy's podcast does exactly that. When we're saying all these things like, this is the only time in our history that does this guy's podcast is called My History Beats Up Your Politics.
Oh, yes, I've heard this.
And he just goes back and says, no, that happened in Taft's time.
Yep.
And this happened in Grant's time. And this happened in Lincoln's time. And he just factually builds a story. And you're like, holy crap, that's amazing.
And it makes you realize that we really are just puppets reliving the same thing over and over again.
So, yeah, take a listen to his thing. I really like his style and everything. So I usually don't do that. But nonetheless, it was very good. So I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's all right. Back on track. Back on track. By 1923, more than 600 cities had tear gas. And even though at this point in time, the War Department put a federal ban on the use of tear gas in the domestic setting, a loophole actually allowed for local governments to use it, but not the federal government.
Yeah, it was being used in like prisons and banks. So if you robbed a bank, they would put like a popper in there with that stuff in it. Or they'd actually put it in, if you look in some old safes, and you know how they have it in the movies, like where you drill through the side of the thing? Well, yes. The whole skin would have this stuff built into it, so when you drilled into it, you crack the vial and you would get gassed. Yeah, that was a big thing. But you got to think about this. This is in an enclosed area, so like other kinds of tear gases, like we had, oh man, this is going to be a tough one to say, oleoarsen capsicum, which is pepper spray. And then you got dibenzozepine, CR gas.
I love
chloroacetylphenone, which is CN gas. 3 different times, and these are still commonly used, right?
Yeah, they're the most common ones. I mean, pepper spray you can buy in 7-Eleven
Yeah, they've been around in the fire department for thousands of years.
as long as dogs have been in firehouses.
Totally.
When is it used? It's really used primarily in crowd control and dispersion of people. It's the police use it when things get a little too rowdy, and they're like, all right, we gotta break up this house party. They'll pop a few canisters into a crowd and spread people out.
See, this is the interesting part. It's allowed for local authorities to use it for riot control. However, it's not allowed by the government to be used in acts of war. And this is actually by the Geneva Convention that it made it illegal for even like one state, and we're talking about nationalities, to be used against another. However, you could use it on your people inside the place.
Which is kind of crazy.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, we're not spewing politics here. We're just
No,
literally
this
stating.
is not a political
yeah,
thing.
We're literally stating really interesting facts.
Yeah, that's like weird.
So, at this point, who's using it? Well, everybody, including my grandmother, has got a few of these grenades just kind of like chilling in their purse. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I have a couple in my purse right now. But like, yeah, every police detective, law enforcement, corrections, basically anybody that needs to control a crowd, right? We're not talking about controlling a person. A person is smart, but people are dumb.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to control them. So that's what they use.
Yeah. So we could be responding to this stuff. There is definitely a need to understand the differences between other types of agents. We'll kind of get into that a little bit later. But you're running into something, and it's important to know the signs and symptoms of what you could be running into. And this stuff pretty much attacks your mucous membranes. So if you've ever had like a spicy taco, it's kind of like that, but shoving it in your eyes, your nose, and your lungs.
Hey guys, Bobby from the Hazmat Guys here, and emergency responders across the country rely on CAVCOM for mission-critical two-way radio communication. CAVCOM's Talk Through Your Ears technology is compatible with any suit, any respirator, and any two-way radio. As an in-suit communication experts, CAVCOM has developed a completely independent communication system that can be truly advancing to your team's ability to stay fully connected regardless of the task at hand. Whether you're working from a command position or responding downrange, their two-way communication solutions deliver the clarity, durability, and reliability that extreme situations demand. CAVCOM will be at the 2020 IAFC in booth 321, where you can experience a live demonstration, and you can see and hear the difference with Talk Through Your Ears. If you can't make it to IAFC, call today for an on-site demonstration of this revolutionary system at 866-547-4988, or visit the website for additional information at cavcominc.com. That's CAVCOMINC.com. All right, let's pick up where we left off. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so expect people with pre-existing conditions that have like a more advanced and enhanced signs and symptoms. So like think of it like like allergies on crack. Crazy, like like you're gonna have crazy things in the eyes, like tearing and non-controllable eye closing, because the body's trying to flush it out of the eyes. Itching, burning, temporary blindness, blurry visions, burns. They're gonna be bringing their hands up, which is actually a bad thing because their natural instinct is to rub it, but more than likely they're gonna have it on their hands because they went up to protect their face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those that protest for a living, they could expect to see blindness. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
All right.
That was good.
Yeah, thanks. Hemorrhaging, nerve damage, cataracts, corneal erosions, all these things are all symptoms of long-term exposure to tear gas.
Yeah, so that's the eyes. Now you got the respiratory, right? And the eyes, if you think about it in the whole, right? Our eyes, contact to air is what? Let's say 2 square inches, right? You talk about your respiratory tract. It's hundreds of square feet of surface area, right? So when you breathe in this stuff, you get massive inflammation, chest tightening, coughing, choking sensation, wheezing, right? Noisy breathing, and shortness of breath.
Yeah, and the pain actually occurs not necessarily from damage, but the pain is actually occurring because the tear gas itself, the chemicals in the tear gas, bind to one of two pain receptors, either TRPA1 or TRPV1, and that's
Yeah.
what actually triggers, the sensation of pain.
Yeah, and everybody knows this. Listen, if you don't know what TRPA1 is, you're probably in second grade. I apologize for talking down to you about this, but it's the same pain receptor that's oils, that is like mustard, wasabi. Who hasn't done a good snort of a dry wasabi?
Yeah, we have a guy in our firehouse who makes his own horseradish, and we write right on it TRPA1
Yeah.
enhancer.
It's
It's literally, if, like, come
true.
on, don't
Yeah.
just get onto the job, get into it.
Called Joey TRPA1. Anyway, CS and CR gases are more than 10,000 times more potent than the oil actually found in the vegetables themselves.
Yeah. The severity of the symptoms that you could come across as you're out there responding to this after an exposure, they really depend on a couple of different things. And one of the first ones is whether or not that person was in an enclosed space or an open space. Because if you're in an open space, the concentration is going to be a lot less. If you're in an enclosed space, well, that sucks for you. And
Yeah.
that directly then relates to how much tear gas that person ended up coming into contact with.
Right. And even like how close they were to the deployment of the gas. How close were you to the release? And further, whether they're having a pre existing condition. So if you have like asthma, COPD, emphysema, well, that could be like hugely exacerbated.
Yeah. Most people will recover from tear gas exposure without any kind of significant symptoms or long-lasting stuff. But interestingly enough, the University of California, they did a 10-year study program. They examined 4,544 cases of pepper spray,
Hmm.
and they found that 1 in 15 had the chance of a severe development after exposure.
That was probably the last week in Washington.
Yes, it was.
So let's talk about some of the potential effects of tear gas exposure. What are they, Mike?
All right, well, we've got things like asthma attacks,
Yep.
coughing. People
Hmm.
could be literally incapacitated for hours.
Yeah.
Nausea, vomiting. Those are
And even,
all short term type exposures.
yeah, and that all right, guys, why was it used in World War I? Because incapacitating a thing is very effective in wartime. Right? If Mike goes down, it requires a couple of soldiers to go and pick him up and get him to aid. Whereas if I just kill Mike, I just walk by him and continue my operation. So incapacitating is a great way to do it. And so if I'm able to shut you down, there's going to be a couple of renders that are there to help you. Further, the long-term exposure to this, right? So if I keep getting blasted in the face because I'm Antifa or whatever it is, and I'm just standing up to the man, they keep blasting me. I can get blindness because you get scarring in the eyes, right? You can get glaucoma, cataracts. You can get death from chemical burns because this is a chemical to the throat, lungs, um, nostrils, mucosa, right? Even respiratory failure has been known to happen.
Yeah. And it can sometimes be difficult to distinguish tear gas or pepper spray, anything along those lines, from actual nerve agent exposure. And the best way to determine whether or not somebody has been exposed to tear gas or nerve agent is just to really follow some of these simple rules.
As stupid as this sounds, you have to put this into the mix. This has to be built into the algorithm. Are they wearing something politically charged? It sounds really stupid, but more than likely, if they are wearing something politically charged, they have the CS, right? If they
Right.
are just wearing, biker shorts and the guy's wearing, like a biking helmet, he probably wasn't at a protest and therefore it wasn't happening. So, am I saying that right? Like tear
Yeah,
gas.
tear gas, right? And so, all right. So, a perfect example of this is
Okay.
you respond to multiple people sick in a subway.
Okay.
And you respond down to that subway, and you have people showing all these signs and symptoms. They weren't gassed at the subway. They were just at a protest. They dispersed, and now they're making their way back, and they're starting to develop and being sick and not feeling good. Yeah, they're all there because they were all at the protest. It doesn't mean that there was some kind of an attack at that subway station.
Good point.
Although, there you go. You have your perfect target. You have sort of signs and symptoms of sludgeum, but maybe this is not everything it plays out to be. Another example going along those lines is where they're wearing face coverings. And yeah, this could be either tear gas or just COVID-19.
How about a Molotov cocktail? Was it in the hand? Then it's probably tear gas.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, but seriously, this was a real issue after 9/11 when we were all convinced that nerve agent was going to be like the next big thing to come out and get us. We would go to schools that had sprayed with tear gas, and of course, we were pumping out signs and symptoms of nerve agents, signs and symptoms of nerve agents, and so we would get called to these things constantly, and the question was always to us, well, I'm seeing signs and symptoms of sludgeum. You're telling me it's tear gas. How do I know? Like, how as a chief can I just release everybody? And yeah, so we're gonna kind of chat about that a little.
Okay, so I am presented, what do they say, a double-blind thing, right? I have two patients in front of me, and which one has the nerve agent? Right?
Okay.
So I look at you're going to have the sludgeum, right? Is a nerve agent. And we just went through the whole thing. You're going to have the tearing, the coughing, the hacking. You're going to have the lacrimation, right? You're
Yep.
going to have the salivation, lacrimation. You're going to have the urination. Probably not.
Probably not.
The defecation. Probably not.
You could.
You could.
There's definitely maybe a panic diarrhea, panic urine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You might get the gastro, but I don't really think you probably would. That might be a little learning down the road, if anything. If the guy ingested a lot of it, drank it, like literally the snots were going in the back of his throat, and he was swallowing them into his stomach. I could see maybe.
The toughest Antifa guy ever.
Yes. Now the enteritis, the vomiting, I could see, yeah, possibly. But the thing is, the pinpoint pupils and the seizures slash muscle, what does they call it, fibrillations?
Yeah, the twitching.
Twitching. That's the key,
That's the
right
best,
there.
The twitching.
Yeah.
Which is because when I was first taught, I was like, seizures. I was like, okay, I did EMS. I know what seizures looks like. And then you watch videos of people getting gassed in Syria, and you're like,
oh, no.
Well, that's not seizures.
That's not really a seizure.
That's weird. What is that?
Yeah.
And pinpoint pupils are one of the first things to happen when a person is exposed to nerve agent, and seizures usually only start to come along after much, much larger doses compared to pinpoint pupils.
Right, but I'm not going to say the one, but there's many, but there's a big factor that once you move them out to fresh air, they get better. And even if they don't, they're not going to get worse. You're on the right track for it not. So it's like, I've been saying in this class is like, if it looks like a dog and barks like a dog and smells like a dog, it's probably a dog. If you're doing these things and you're kind of parsing those two things apart.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Did it just suddenly went dead?
Oh, I got my side, so it sounded good to me.
Okay, perfect. All right.
So just go into 6.
10-4. So how do we end up deconning somebody who's come in contact with tear gas? First, you want to make sure that you are personally out of the affected area. One suggestion for this is to move to higher ground. Tear gas will form dense vapor clouds that travel kind of close and low to the ground.
Right. And also, utilize your chemical and physical properties. A lot of these things, like Mike said, is a lower place to go. So shelter in a place is an option for releases. Keep in mind that if you can move them to a higher ground, that might be a better option. It's probably a little easy. But be realistic. If you're indoors, you should seek the great outdoors as much as possible.
Yes, unless you have listened to the case study that Lieutenant John Cassidy does, and you opt for something else altogether. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then maybe you should head to the university and educate yourself.
Yes.
But we can treat anybody that has been contaminated with tear gas as we would an emergency decon, right? We would want to remove their clothes, rapidly wash them down, and if we can, use some soap and water, because a lot of these capsaicins and oils are exactly that. They're hydrocarbons. So let's get some soap and water off on them, and we can start to remove the product from their skin.
So the question comes is, how do these canisters, these tear gas canisters function? It functions like kind of the same way that fireworks do, right? When it's shot, when it's dispatched, charcoal on the inside of the canister starts to burn, and it's mixed in. What's mixed in with the charcoal is oxygen releasing compounds called oxidizers.
Yeah. Aren't all oxidizer compounds things that release oxygen?
No, we're actually coming out of a class on oxidizers that will address all this stuff. But yeah, just hold on to that one for a little while.
We're shameless pluggers, aren't we?
We are. We should be. We've earned it.
We have. Come on. You guys got to give that to us. Like, we've earned a lot of shows to be able to start plugging our own shit. The chemicals are things like potassium nitrate and potassium chlorate. As these chemicals kind of start to thermally react and they kind of get down and they boogie together, they produce a cloud of potassium chloride gas. Yummy stuff.
Yeah, that's good. And others function as a powder that is released in an aerosolized mix. So, should we tell them how to disarm it or neutralize it?
There are ways to disarm them, and there are ways to neutralize them. At this level, I would honestly suggest that if you have a patient and there's a canister near you, just move away from the canister. I wouldn't attempt to disarm anything. That's not really our job.
Yeah, unless it's blasting.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Hazmat Guys.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at The Hazmat Guys, and take a moment to call our comment hotline at 843-628-1484.
And we are always looking forward to your feedback about information or interesting incidents that you were a part of, so send us a note at feedback@thehazmatguys.com.
Remember, guys, don't just get on the job, get into the job.